segment, we're going to give you a brief overview of our upcoming VCA 6-DCV exam series. And joining me here to help out with that very endeavor is Mr. Ronnie Wong. Ronnie, can you help give us a generalization, a general overview of what this is about?
When we take a look at actually trying our hand here at actually doing the VCA 6, what we're trying to say is that we want to get used to the technology that we're going to find inside of VMware, especially in vSphere version 6. Normally this is going to be for someone that is actually a decision maker trying to make the move into virtualization, thinking that it's something that they might want to do for their data center, or as somebody that's helping to make that decision as well, and they need to get more familiar with the topics so they have a general understanding and can actually do a little bit more research into it to see if this is the way that they want to go. It really does help out, of course, if you have a technical background, you've been working in IT for a little bit of time, but there is no real requirement as far as the certification goes, but it really does help because some of the concepts we'll cover, of course, are general concepts that we'll find throughout the entire IT industry.
So the intended audience for this series is going to be anybody that wants to know more about virtualization in general and maybe even the VMware products itself.
It really is. It really does help us to be able to see how those VMware products hook together and be able to work together, understand the technical requirements behind them, especially in terms of VMware vSphere 6. So once we have that understanding, that makes it easier for the decision maker. It makes it easier for somebody at least trying to administrate or get their hands into the administration of vSphere 6 as well.
All right, Ronnie. Well, does this series, is it going to correlate with any exams or tests?
It really does. Inside of VMware, of course, they have a learning division, which means they also have training and they also have certifications. So when we start taking a look at it, what this actual series is going to help you out in is for you to be able to earn your VCA 6-DCV. Now, what does that actually mean? Let's take a look at my screen here for a moment, and that will help us out. So when we take a look here, VMware Certified Associate 6 Data Center Virtualization Fundamentals. So the term fundamentals lets you actually understand that, hey, here is the exam that we are actually going for, and it's actually a fundamentals exam. So it actually rests heavily more on the concepts and the technologies in terms of identification and understanding the benefits and understanding solutions that VMware provides, rather than the idea of configuration and of mastery of all the programs that you see there. This matches up to an exam number right here, which is 1V0-601, and that's what you actually want to take a look at when you start to earn that certification. Of course, that means if you're going to earn that certification, you need to, of course, sign up and be able to pass it as well. So some of the details in that, it was going to actually be, well, this. The exam that you'll take is going to be 50 questions long, okay? And you'll have a 75-minute duration to be able to take that exam, and your passing score is a 300. Now, they don't tell you what the upper number is, but that's what the passing score is going to be, as a 300 out of those 50 questions when you do that. Now, the other thing, of course, that most people are concerned about then is that when you take a look, there is a price associated. And currently, the price associated with this is going to be about $120 US. So make sure you note that when you actually go to pay for the exam. Okay? So this exam is actually the current one that gives you that associate level in terms of VMware. And it's actually very easy for you to get access to register for this exam. Now, before you actually say anything like, man, do I need to go to a testing center? You really don't, because this particular exam is non-proctored. And that means you can take it online. Now, does that mean, wow, it's an online exam, can I cheat? Well, no, you really can't. And the reason why is that they actually take screenshots as you're actually on that exam to see what's going on. So don't think that it's actually just unproctored and that means, hey, it's an open book exam. It means that time limit is actually something that they follow by very strictly, and they do take screenshots of what's going on during the exam. So they'll know if you're actually flipping through and going through web pages when you're doing that. But yes, you won't be able to do that. Now, when you register for this, it's fairly simple. You actually notice that right here on this very page is that it actually gives you this button. So if you do a search from your favorite browser and you type in VCA-DC6 DCV, exam, you actually bring up this register now, and if you already have a Pearson VUE account, you'll just walk through, pick the language that you want this to be in, and notice there's 3 languages, English, Japanese, and Chinese. If you actually happen to be proficient in all 3, I took mine in English because I'm not proficient in Japanese. I know a little bit of Chinese, but overall English is actually going to be my base language. You'll be able to register for it, and here's the key, okay? You don't just get to register for it sometime in the future. What they actually intend for you to do is to get the knowledge that you need, and when you are ready for that exam, you select that register and you pay for it, and it gives you 2 days to take the exam. So you actually see that from that point, once you pay and you say yes, at the very end of that process of paying, it's going to be a little button that says start the exam. So if you accidentally click on that and start it, you have to take the exam. So be very careful when you choose to register for this exam as well. Now, the neat thing is, right, when you actually start taking a look, is that if you get to this page, you do have access, well, down here underneath the Register Now button, okay? So I recommend that you not click on Register Now immediately after going to this page. Yeah, you can. You can take a look at it and not register. But notice they actually give you the exam topics, even some suggestions on how to prepare, and some additional resources. I recommend that you take advantage of all three.
All right. Ronnie, you actually hit on a really good question here that I've got for you is, what specifically are the topics that we're going to cover in the series?
Well, when it comes down to it, remember that when we take a look at this, we actually will follow the exam topics in the series that we'll be covering. So what we're actually going to do here is we take a look here on my machine. We'll follow these exam topics along, and we'll see that there's some overlap to it in which we'll just cover once instead of actually going through them multiple times. So for example, right, explaining data virtualization concepts, identifying those typical challenges is pretty much key. And we'll take a look at things like what is the data center itself and what is data center virtualization. We'll talk about the benefits of virtualization as well as some of the common components that we'll also see there too. And then of course we'll take a look at the challenges that VMware helps us to resolve by taking a look at some of the different editions, and we'll make sure we enumerate those. Take a look at management challenges, scalability and optimization challenges that we tend to actually have to face, and where VMware helps us to face those. And then of course we get into the meat of the product, which is to get more familiar with vSphere technologies, right? vSphere 6. And you'll see us in here that we'll go over storage technologies, networking, resource management, availability, and even some of the different products that we may not have covered anywhere else during the entire course. And then in the end, we'll take a look at some of the different challenges that happen when we start talking about business challenges here. And usually some of the business challenges happen to deal with size. What size is your organization and what we actually have to expect from that. The good thing is, during the entire course, you'll probably end up seeing that we'll cover just about every single challenge that we normally will face in the course itself, and so at the end it's really just a review of everything that we need. So when you start taking a look here, some of the things that you want to consider as you actually are preparing and getting ready for this course is the terminology itself. Making sure, of course, that if you know some of the ideas and some of the concepts, make sure you learn the VMware idea and the concepts there too. And of course, make sure you actually know the names of these products, because this is a big one that you have to pay attention to as well. So this is why it's not the most technically challenging exam before us, but it is actually an exam that will challenge you as far as the number of products that we go through. And yes, if you want to pass the exam, you've got to know those products, those features, and even some of the benefits of those. So make sure you pay careful attention during the entirety of the series as we actually go through this. Now the other thing is, right here on the preparation, right? They have a nice 3-hour training video for you to go through, and this is their recommended training. And they even have a practice exam for you, and all of this is for free. Now on the practice exam, it'll give you 99 times to go through this, okay? Now what does that mean? It means it's the exact same exam, so you got to be careful. Use it only to help you assess in areas that you are having problems in, and you'll see that if you ever get a 100% score, you're done. It won't let you take it again, okay? So it will lock you out at that point. So always at the end, it even tells you, make sure you at least make one answer wrong if you're not taking the exam immediately, and that way you can always go back through. Use it to actually find areas that you're weak in, and then once you actually find those weak areas, make sure you go back and study them a bit more in depth when you do so. The other thing that I want you to be able to take advantage of is really this last one right here, where it says Test Drive VMware vSphere Environment. Okay? This will give you access to a nice virtual lab that will allow you to test drive vSphere and take a look at all the different components that we talk about throughout this particular series. It's really going to help you out, and the more that you get hands-on with it, the better off you're going to actually be as you take a look at those different products that are actually offered and what vSphere really wants you to be able to do. So there is a lot of information, but I think we're actually ready to get started.
All right. Well, Ronnie, thanks so much for that overview and that general assessment of what we can expect in this upcoming series. And if it sounds like something that you might be interested in, then we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming episodes.